we need to talk. Hello everyone, if you're new here, hi, I'm Elle, the owner of Our Forever Utopia, and today's video is slightly different to my typical studio vlogs that I film upstairs in my little home studio where I do like nice painting and packing. Today's video unfortunately is not that because I've been honestly so upset. I've felt so many different emotions. I felt anger, frustration, and I really want to share it with you all and get your thoughts on the topic. So let's get into it. So I'm going to talk about something that's been bothering me. Now, when it comes to art, there is so much inspo out there. I feel like people can be inspired by anything these days. I'm inspired by so many different things, and especially on Pinterest. I love Pinterest. I've said this before. I think it's an incredible platform. Absolutely love it. I always do my daily scroll, whether it's on a morning, on a night. I love Pinterest, and it helps me massively running a creative business because there is so much to browse through. But I think people are getting confused. Pinterest is obviously filled with so much stuff. Home decor, graphics, artwork, anything like that is on Pinterest. It's literally a minefield of what you can see on there. But unless it's AI, it hasn't been plucked from thin air. It is literally somebody's work, whether it's somebody's artwork and they sell it for profit, or it's somebody's artwork as a hobby and it's just ended up on the internet. It is somebody else's artwork, full stop. And I think where the confusion is coming for some people is that they're seeing this artwork on Pinterest and forgetting that it's somebody else's work and just claiming it as their own, copying or DIYing the design themselves. Obviously there is a huge difference here between DIYing something for your own home or something like that, as opposed to you're a small business owner or a large business owner yourself and you are literally copying that artwork to sell it to gain profit for yourself. There is obviously a difference between that, but I'm talking in these instances about people who are taking the designs off Pinterest, technically stealing the designs and kind of what's the word, like putting them off as their own. That's what I'm talking about in this instance. Obviously for this video and in this instance, I won't be naming any people, businesses, anything like that, because I just don't think it's necessary. And the point of me making this video is not to call out these people. It is to hopefully like make people more aware of when they're doing it themselves and thinking, oh whoops, I've probably done that, where I've seen something. And I'm not saying I haven't either, as a business owner that's been going for 5+ years myself. I've probably been too inspired by something before, but going forward, I'm just hoping that this will kind of, if you're somebody who does browse on Pinterest and you see something and you're like, oh, that looks cool, I'm gonna copy it, it'll kind of stop you in your tracks a little bit and be like, oh, actually, I'm seeing that, I'm enjoying it, but that is somebody's work, and if I want to make something like that, I have to be inspired by it and make it my own rather than copying the design exactly. The example I've got of this is recently I had a message from somebody on Instagram. They follow me, I don't obviously know who they are. This person has messaged me and said, hey, I hope you're well, I'm starting out with vase painting and clay art. Do you have any advice for me with starting out in this type of industry? Now I get messages like this all the time, asking for painting tips, asking for air dry clay tips, asking what varnish I use, what paints I use, asking, you know, how I pack my items. I do get a lot of questions asking for advice, you know, where do I get my stock from, where do I get this from, where do I get my vases from, and most of the time, if it's asked in the right way, I don't mind answering, and I feel like everything that's happened in the past few months has completely tainted that, but I'll get onto that later. So that's what the message said, and I said, hi, oh amazing, you learn a lot as you go, which you do. I've learned so much as you go. You kind of learn what works for you and what techniques works for you, but I said any questions I'll help any way I can, because I wasn't sure what exactly she needed tips or help on. Then she sent me a video of 2 vases. Now some of you who have been here a while will know I used to sell door vases, like personalized door vases. She'd sent me this video and the 2 vases that she'd sent looked kind of like direct copies of my design. So one was the door vase and one was the cherry vase. So she said these were the first 2 that she's done, and she went on to say some other things about how she didn't have a steady hand and if she should sell on Etsy or Shopify. And the second I seen them, my heart honestly dropped, because I was like, oh my god, like they're literally mine, like they're my designs. And it's such a hard thing. I know for maybe some people it maybe doesn't bother you, for other people it probably bothers you more than it's even bothered me. But I basically said, I mean, I guess you're not selling those ones as they're copies of what I'm selling. I can see you've been inspired by my work and I'm flattered. And then I told her, I answered her questions. I said that I started on Etsy, told her how long I've been doing this. And then she said, I found my inspo pictures on Pinterest. Sorry if they were yours, I just found some vases I like and tried to recreate them, sorry. And I went on to say, yeah, they're mine. So I love Pinterest for inspo, it's one of my faves, which you guys all know it is. But I said, but it's all about making a design your own, bringing your own personality into it or things you love. And then we went on to chat a bit more. I was still answering questions that she had. And then she went on and said, I'm so sorry, I genuinely didn't know, I feel so bad now. And then we chatted a little bit more and I asked her like what her business name is and stuff, because that is an example of somebody who I could be wrong, but I personally think they didn't mean to intentionally steal the designs to go on to sell them. I think that's an example of misreading Pinterest and not recognizing that Pinterest is filled with somebody's artwork that they've spent obviously years or weeks or days crafting that one piece that you see, and then for somebody to remake it. And I say this because there is a real difference between recreating and copying. I'll let you make your mind up what you thought of them first 2 vases, of whether you think they were copies. I don't think I can actually find the door vase that it was a copy, but it was obviously the same colour and the same plants were on the bottom, the door idea and everything like that. So that was something where she hasn't even started a business yet, and it sort of was worrying me in case she is going to start that business based on just recreate it or like copying other people's designs. But she was genuinely sorry, and I really don't think she will go forward and copy anybody's designs, because once you do it and you get like called out on it, sometimes for people when it genuinely doesn't click what they're doing, I think as soon as somebody says it, they're like, oh my god, yeah, of course, like of course that's somebody's work that I've just copied. Like, I don't know. Anyway, so that is my example of using Pinterest to just copy the designs. People copying my work is nothing new to me. Like, I half think you've got to expect it sometimes, as sad as that is. People see somebody making nice things or somebody doing well and they want it for themselves. So I'm not new to this whole copycat thing. I remember actually when I first started my business, I think it was maybe like 6 months in or something like that, and it was when I was doing plant pots, and I can't remember if somebody else had messaged me it warning me or if I'd found it myself on the explore page on Instagram, and I seen it and I double looked and I was like, they're all my designs. They'd done like plant pots, vases. I clicked on the business, they were literally just starting out, they weren't even selling on anywhere yet, and everything was just what I'd been working on for the past 2 months. And that one, I think I probably cried about that one, to be honest. I think that was one of the first instances of somebody copying me, and it really hit me hard. I think I just couldn't believe it, because there's also a difference of doing it once and it being an accident, and having somebody's business set up and watching everything they do and copying every single piece and not having a single piece that is even out of your own brain or like inspired by anybody else. You're just copying this one business. And yeah, that was one of my first instances of a copycat. If I remember correctly, I messaged that business owner and obviously said, you're doing exactly what I'm doing. I really appreciate it if you don't. It's upset me, etc. And I didn't get a reply. And as far as I'm aware, that business went no further. Let's move on to more recently, what this video is actually about, the reason why I'm making this video. A few months ago, I found a business on Etsy because obviously Etsy, because I sell vases, when I'm on Etsy myself looking for products, I get recommended a lot of hand painted vases, so it's kind of hard for me to miss if somebody is stealing or copying one of my designs. So I think I was browsing on Etsy and I came across this one shop and she had loads of like fun things, and the one that came up for me was, I think it was a candy hearts plant pot. So basically I have a vase that is candy hearts. It's like a pink and white wash background with coloured little hearts on with text like the heart sweets. And this plant pot was exactly the same. It was the white and pink wash background and it was the little hearts with the text on them. Now, I'm not the only one to do a candy heart themed item. It was more so the way it was the same background colour. Sorry, the lighting's going so weird because the sun's going in and out. It was the same background colour, the same heart colours, the same text, everything like that. And I was just like, that is slightly that's exactly what I'm selling, like that, you've copied that from me. It was quite clear. And then there was also my very popular mini egg vase design. She'd also done the same thing in a plant pot, so it was the white background, the brown splats with the little chocolate eggs on. And I was just like, it's one step too far. Like, that you can do a candy hearts plant pot and you can do a chocolate egg vase, but they don't have to look exactly like mine down to the background and the colours that I use. So I messaged the shop owner and I said, your shop's so funky and you have some cool pieces. However, I just wanted to flag 2 of your designs, the Love Heart plant pot and mini eggs plant pot. I feel you've directly copied my designs and I'd appreciate you removing them from your shop or changing the design to make it your own. Thanks so much, Elle. Really polite, really nice. And she actually messaged me back saying, hi Elle, many apologies, wasn't an intention at all. Of course, sorry for any offence caused. And she took the designs straight down. And that was probably the best way that could have gone. If that had happened to me, it's exactly how I would have responded. I would apologise. I think I'd be honestly mortified that, especially if you know that you've seen these designs somewhere and I'm not necessarily saying these people knew they were copying me and my business, but they've seen that design somewhere, copied it and sold it on their own shop. And that's exactly how I would have responded. She was really nice about it. She took them straight down and that's honestly all I could have asked for. And yeah, I'm not saying it's an easy mistake to make, but like I said, if I've ever been too inspired by somebody and they messaged me saying, you need to credit me for that because it's kind of similar to what I'm doing, or you have copied me and I would appreciate you not selling that, I would say absolutely, as long as I could see like, oh, actually that is exactly what you're selling. Like I've quite clearly interpreted that and not done anything about it to make it my own. I've just basically copied what I've seen, and that would be fair enough. That was in May, and then 2 months later we skipped to July and the same thing happened again with a different business. I sent near enough the same message to this shop because they were also selling the stripe designs, but the one I had an issue with was the my mini cherries design. And I messaged them pretty much the same thing, said, look, you sell some really nice things in your shop, but this one is my design, I'd appreciate you removing it. Now, I didn't get a reply from this business, however, they did take it down, which of course I appreciate. I do appreciate that. I just wish it hadn't happened in the first place, but I do appreciate them removing it. I just obviously didn't get a response or anything. Then we move on to 2 months again, from July to now, September. And this is where this one's really hit me to a point of I was so upset about this one. I got a message from a lovely fellow small business owner on Instagram, and they said to me, hey lovely, I'm really sorry to be this person, but a shop that is local to me shared something on their stories and I clicked on their profile and the business literally is just copying you. I can't attach a photo yet, but the page is called and told me the business name, even down to the colours they use. I just wanted to let you know. And I replied saying, "Hi lovely, thank you so much for letting me know. I've accepted your message now, just having a look at the page." And I put, "Oh, why?" with an eye roll, because when I got into it, I was like, ugh. And then we went on chatting, and yeah. Then I messaged the business straight away and said, "Hi, it's been brought to my attention from someone local in your area to your shop that you've directly copied a design of mine. Your shop's so fun and you do have some cool pieces. However, I just wanted to flag a couple of your stripe designs. The candy floss and the sunset colorways that I sell. I feel like you've directly copied my design and I'd appreciate you removing it from your shop or changing the design to make it your own. I appreciate that I don't own this vase shape, and for example, the rainbows and other colours you sell, you're well within your rights to. But in terms of those two, I can see I designed those colourways myself. Thank you so much, Elle." So I've always said with these stripe designs that I've been doing, I don't own that vase. I get the vase from Hobbycraft. I don't own it. It's just a bisque vase. There's lots of shops online. There's Hobby Ceramic Craft. There's Chromati. There's so many bisque businesses online. You can get them on Amazon, you can get them on Etsy, you can probably get them local to you. I don't own that stripe design, and because it's a ribbed vase, I'm not a genius that I thought to do stripes on it. I'm just one of the first people to have done that back in, I started selling mine back in November, and there was at that time none on Etsy or anything. As far as I was aware, there was nobody selling that exact vase. So yeah, it's not that I am claiming that people, because I get messages obviously of people selling that vase in the rainbow design that may well have been inspired by me. They may have just seen the vase themselves and thought, oh, sorry, the memory got full. Yeah, they might have seen it the same way I did and thought, oh, that'd be cool to do like rainbow coloured stripes on it, and then move on to loads of different colourways of it. But it's the fact of the candy floss one, which I call my candy floss stripe, and my sunset stripe, these two vases, like, I researched how I wanted them colours to look. I mixed the exact shades together, and I just looked at them and just thought, like, you've copied those from me. And then further on, I seen that they'd also copied my watermelon vase. I have designed that myself. I do the stripes freehand. You can obviously tell on their vase that they've used tape, which is fair enough. And they've done the little clay watermelon in the same colours, the same layout, etc. So I was like, absolutely not, that's literally my design. At this point, I was getting slightly more agitated, because the more I was seeing what they were selling was literally what I was selling. I was just like, absolutely not, you've just started out as a business and this is how you're setting off. So my next message was slightly more agitated than the first. I said, another example, as I'm sure you already know, and I sent the two watermelon designs. I sent mine and theirs underneath. I put, but this is really upsetting for me. There's so many ideas and inspo out there, and this is just not on. I can see you're new to this industry, but us small businesses stick together. I support many fellow small businesses that sell ceramics and hand-painted vases, but we're all unique. And truly, I do. One of the people who started at the same time as me, she's called Designs by ECS. She's on a little short break at the minute. But we started our businesses near enough like a similar time, and obviously started, like, we were both selling plant pots, we were both doing vases, we both do clay items, but our businesses to look at are so different. Like, she's so unique, and hopefully I feel like I'm so unique as well, and if you were to put us next to each other, you would be able to say that's hers and that's mine. And we've supported each other from the beginning, because I think what she does is incredible. And yeah, there's plenty of other hand-painted people who do vases or clay or anything really that's hand painted that I will support, because we're all on this journey together. We're all like unique and got incredible businesses. So I said that, and I said, but we're all unique. You'll go much further creating your own ideas, and I'd appreciate going forward. I don't see any direct copies of my items. And I signed it off, Elle again. Now, I didn't get any response from this business, and then I clicked onto the shop where this small business was selling in, and obviously the other business owner that had messaged me in the first place to give me this warning kind of heads up, I'd said initially they were being sold in this shop. So I clicked onto the shop and thought, I'm going to send the shop a message again, because it's slightly like if it was me, I would be humiliated that a customer local has seen that I'm selling in my shop a direct copy of somebody else's work. Like, it's just a bit not ideal, is it really? Like, I'd honestly be really embarrassed, and I'd just want to remove them and say, like, I'm so sorry, I didn't realise that this business owner was copying this other business owner. So yeah, I wanted to give the shop a heads up and just also say, like, I would appreciate you taking them down, because they are my own, they're my work. So I clicked on to message this shop, and I'd already had an interaction with them previously, and this was the interaction that I had. It says, "Hi Danielle, hope you are well. We recently came across your Instagram account and love your creations. We think that in particular your vases would work well with the aesthetic of our shop, and just thought we'd ask whether you would be interested in stocking with us. We're mindful obviously that you're a little further afield than our other makers, which might be an issue for you, but just thought we would ask the question." And I replied, this was on the 5th of August I got this message. I replied on the 6th and I said, "Hi, thanks so much. My wholesale is currently closed, but thank you for thinking of me, because my wholesale is currently closed. I'm hoping to open it again in the future, but I've been sending anybody basically the same message saying, unfortunately, my wholesale is closed, because it's just not something that I have the capacity to do right now on top of my restocks." And this business said, "No problem, lovely." And that was that. So I read that and I was just like, so you're telling me that because I couldn't offer you my designs right now, you've decided to get another business that you know is copying my designs to sell in your shop? I was honestly gobsmacked. And did I cry? Depends. I actually can't remember whether I cried, but depends what mood I'm in. I'm not much of a crier, so if something upsets me or angers me enough to tears, you know it's pretty serious. But I know I was so upset. I was ranting and venting to my fiance Nathan, and I was like, I can't believe yet again somebody else, like, what's the matter with people? Why are they just stealing the designs and not thinking about the person that they're stealing from, that is sat, who's worked so hard on this business and these designs, that you're just ripping off? Like, it was a rough night that night, let me tell you that. So I did message the shop, and basically I messaged identical message to what I'd messaged the business that was selling in the shop. Got the reply saying, "Hi Elle, I'll have a chat with the maker and see what's happened regarding the paint colour combinations, and if there is an issue, I'll remove them, no problem." And I was just thinking, you already know there's an issue because you've seen my designs and you know that this business is selling the exact same designs that you wanted initially from me. So I said, thanks, I appreciate that. I mean, it's so out of order coming from another small startup business, because this business had about 4 posts on Instagram. They've quite clearly just started out. And I said, there's really so many ideas and inspo to come up with as an artist, and this has just really upset me that a fellow maker would do this. I understand you're just stocking, so I've also contacted the business, because I thought at this point, like, I feel bad going through, well, I mean, I say that now, but obviously they've knowingly also ripped me off because they know what I was selling and they know they were selling the same. But if it wasn't for that, I would have felt really bad going through this shop, because they're just stocking this small business and they may not have known that the small business was ripping me off. And I thought, realistically, it's not really the shop's responsibility kind of thing. I don't know. That was just my personal opinion on it. And so I said, I've also contacted the business, just waiting on a reply. And I said, it's also humiliation for you as a shop, as it's one of your customers who's reached out to me to let me know. And then I sent the watermelon designs to them, and they said, no problem at all. I've spoken to the maker and said I'll contact you rather than her, as she's on holiday at the moment and doesn't sell online, only in our shop. I'm happy to tell her not to make these designs, no problem. Thanks for reaching out and let me know, much appreciated, smiley face. And I was getting in my head at this point. I was thinking, that's just really unprofessional of another small business to not reply to any of these messages when they've copied multiple of my designs knowingly. And I just thought, like, that's, I didn't really understand. And then it kind of clicked to me that possibly the shop owner and the new business were either some kind of relation, some kind of friend, something, where this shop has said, look, we want these for wholesale, they're quite clearly selling really well, people are enjoying them, we want them in the shop, but her wholesale is closed, can you make something, can you basically make them? And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yeah, there's no way a shop would take on my flack of, they would just direct it to the small business and probably say, like, yeah, we won't sell them, they're quite clearly copies of yours, like, that's not on at all, really sorry. And then the conversation would then go to me and the business that had actually done it, because it's not the shop's fault. But I suppose this circumstance is slightly different because the shop did know. But I just thought, yeah, something's a bit sus, like, do they know them, are there some relation? I just thought for them to say, like, just basically, like, don't message them, they're on holiday, I'll just sort it. I was like, possibly I'm not going to get a reply from that business. And then I started thinking, is it the same person? Like, honestly, I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. And truthfully, I'm not really bothered because it's kind of irrelevant, but yeah, I just thought something was a bit sus with that. I replied and I said, thank you for understanding. I see. Hopefully she will respond after her break. Enjoy the rest of your week. And that was that. And this shop unfollowed me, and the business is now selling on Vinted, which is a strange place to sell hand-painted ceramics, and it's making me think, it's making me spiral and think they're going to keep stealing my designs and keep selling the designs and sell them on there so that people are less likely to see and tell me, basically, or even for me to see. I don't know. It's just, it's been a lot. It's been a lot. And it's hard because obviously things happen in business, but it frustrates me as somebody who gets quite, like, anxious about things. This is such unnecessary stress that right now I do not need in my life. Like, I just don't need this. I don't need this kind of upset, and I just don't need people stealing my work. Like, please, please, please come up with your own ideas. Look, it's gone dark now. It's gone dark as I'm saying this. Just please come up with your own ideas. Or I'm like, people say, like, oh, it's flattering that they think you, like, your work's really good and they want to do it themselves, but I don't find it flattering. Yes, I would love to be inspiration for people, but not in a way that you are directly copying. You're waiting for me to do something, to sit with your phone up, to copy the design, to then go on to sell it yourself. Like, I just don't think that's any way to run a business, personally. After I'm like, I need to calm down a little bit, now I've gone back, because obviously that for me was around like a couple of weeks ago, and I've had to let it leave my brain because I can't stew on it. Like, I can't let it, like, overwhelm me. And now that I've just spoke about it all again, it's brought back all the feelings again. So deep breath in, deep breath out, everybody. And yeah, my real point for this is that you will never build a successful business just copying or stealing or taking other people's designs. It's just not going to happen for you. I mean, like, where's the joy? Like, where's the creativity? And if you're just going to sit and wait for somebody, and I know it's happened to so many people, this, like, I've spoken to so many other makers that this has happened to them before, and it's just, I don't understand why you would want to build a brand or build a small business based off of somebody else's business. Like, I don't know what the point is. Why not just, like, where you're gonna get your enjoyment from if you're just waiting for them to do something so that you can copy? Like, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't get it. Basically, I truly just think, what is the point in being in small business in the industry or being an artist if you're gonna do that? Because I just feel like it's a waste of your time. Like, you're never gonna be fulfilled. I don't, I don't know. To give a roundup and a kind of calming end to this video, I think I don't find it flattering when my designs are stolen, whether it's knowingly from my business, my Etsy, my website, my Instagram, or whether it's unintentionally from Pinterest. I don't find it flattering. I just honestly find it really like hard hitting. I find it rude. I just find it so unoriginal, and it's gotta stop. I don't have the money to spend on protecting every single one of my designs. I just don't, and I shouldn't have to. Like, this happens far too often from larger businesses stealing smaller artists' work, and it shouldn't be happening from smaller artists stealing other small artists' work. So if you are somebody who unintentionally or intentionally gets too inspired to a point where you're copying design after design and basically just stealing somebody's whole business, please just think about it before you do it. It's just, it's not the one. It really isn't the one. And yeah, like I said during this video, if I've ever done this, I would be so apologetic. I'd take the item straight off, but I know how I've built my business now. Like, my ideas are my own and they are Our Forever Utopia, and it's a brand at this point, and I just don't appreciate my work being stolen, and it's really upsetting. And catch me in a bad time and I'll probably cry about it all night. Catch me in another time and I'll be angry about it. But yeah, I'm obviously having to let these slide, and I'm just hoping that I don't get any more messages saying my work has been stolen. After that video, I really hope you do take something away from this, whatever it is. I'd love to chat in the comments if you've ever had this happen to you, or you think you've possibly done it yourself and maybe it's opened your eyes to think, actually, yeah, like, you forget that Pinterest is people's artwork and it's not just a free-for-all. Yeah, let me know. Let's have a chat in the comments, and fingers crossed no more of my work is stolen. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all back to business, back to studio vlogs, creating my designs next week. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.